picture of corpus linguistics could be shared from theory methods to practice. So in this first webinar of this series, first today we'll be talking about understanding corpus linguistics. But before that, I would like to thank all the participants who have registered, and we have received registrations more than 350. But unfortunately, we have the Zoom access of 100 participants only. If for the future or the next webinar, anyone of you willing to donate access of Zoom or any other tool, meeting tool, having the participants capacity of 500 or more than 500, so we would definitely work, and we would appreciate. So you can see my screen. I'm thankful all the participants who have got registered, and you can see the flags of the countries from these participants belong to. So today's webinar, it will consist of 4 parts, and I have divided into 4 parts. The first part is, you can see, we'll be dealing with what is corpus linguistics. Very briefly and practically, we'll try to understand what is corpus linguistics, though it is corpus linguistics considered as the method, but I believe there are some practical aspects of corpus linguistics also. And then the second part will be, I'll be sharing with you some common practices in corpus linguistics, and with reference to Pakistan, what we are doing here in Pakistan in this field of corpus linguistics, and what we have up till now, objectives we have achieved. The part 3 of today's session, I'll be sharing with you some corpus tools, corpus apprentices. Like tools here, in fact, are the important concepts which are used in corpus linguistics, since more than 80% registrations, they have reported themselves as the beginner and the intermediate in the field of corpus linguistics. Therefore, I find it important to share some basic concepts. So these are the corpus tools, or corpus, the functions in the corpus tools, but I also call it corpus apprentices, so that these are not mixed with the corpus softwares. Then in part 4, I would be sharing with you, all of you, some built Corpora, already the Corpora which have been built, and some corpus tools. So in this first webinar, understanding corpus linguistics, so we'll have a kind of an overview of this field in general. So now let's start with the first part, that is corpus. What is corpus linguistics? If I may request Amara or Fatma to remove these lines from the slides, or somebody probably mistakenly have used. Okay, so in part 1, what is corpus linguistics especially for the beginners, but definitely for the rest of the learners. We also have some concepts or some ideas to think about, to discuss. So very simple or simple definition of corpus. First, we need to understand, as Sinclair defined it, a collection of pieces of language selected and ordered according to explicit linguistic criteria in order to be used as sample of the language. So pieces of language, that is meant that different kinds of texts are there, not the whole, the complete text are there, but some pieces of text, the representative pieces of text or pieces of language are used or considered as a corpus. And then definitely these texts or these pieces of language are ordered according to some explicit linguistic criteria. So as you can see in corpus softwares, there are some tools, functions, for example, concordances are there, collocations are there. So these can be few of the linguistic criteria, but they are definitely some more linguistic criteria that we'll discuss in the next webinar under the heading of corpus design. So the next webinar will be focused on how to design a corpus. They will discuss in detail all these linguistic criteria. And then corpus is a representative collection of language that can be used to make statements about language use. So corpus is, the representative collection of language that we have, and based on the trends and the patterns we observe, we find, we can make some statements about language use. So these statements can be, hypotheses. These statements can be some generalizations, and based on these statements, we can make also some claims. And then corpus is also a collection of fairly large number of examples. In corpus terms, we call these examples texts that share similar contextual or situational contexts, situational characteristics. So, all the texts are produced in certain contexts, in certain situations. For example, in academic context, so we have academic genres and academic texts which are produced or generated in certain contexts and situations. So, corpus linguistics is mainly concerned with understanding how people use language, or how the language is used in various contexts. So in various contexts, what we mean to have a substantial or the plausible understanding of language use, so we need to have some context. For example, as I just mentioned, if we talk about academic context, in academic context, so academic discourse we have, and then we have academic genres. So in academic genres, we have a number of genres which are produced in academic settings. For example, research genres are there, classroom genres are there. And this webinar, for example, is one of the academic genres. So all these contexts are also important to understand how language is used, and the corpus linguistics helps us a lot to understand the descriptive nature of language use. And we may also understand corpus linguistics by just as a way to understand linguistic analysis and language. So it's corpus linguistics, the methodology to obtain and analyze the language data, either quantitatively and qualitatively. So we can have quantitative findings, quantitative results, or the patterns of the trends in quantitative forms. And then we can also make some qualitative analysis, and that we will study qualitative analysis in our third and fourth webinar. So corpus linguistics also contributed a lot in different areas, such as in pedagogy, language teaching pedagogy. So here you can see, I've just mentioned here, there's a website that is eap.foundation. So this website or this source is very useful while teaching English for academic and research purposes. So I can just share the interface of this website, and from there then you can use in future, or when we talk about applications of corpus linguistics in our third webinar. So we'll discuss, we can discuss this website also. So here you can, practice corpus linguistics for your classroom teaching, even either at undergrad level or at the postgrad level. So we can also study language variation. When we talk about language variation, so we have different planes to study language variation. For example, we have register plane, and then we have, within register, we have different genres and the style plane. So this will also be discussed in detail in webinar 3, when we'll talk about how to apply corpus linguistics and how to do some research by utilizing corpus methods. And then corpus linguistics has also contributed to study language and variation from historical perspective. For example, this corpus, Helsinki past corpus of Middle English, uh, of early modern English, and it's a very good corpus to understand how English language changed historically. And then dictionary of Old English corpus, which is a 3 million word corpus containing all surviving Old English texts. Now, after understanding what is corpus and what is corpus linguistics, so what corpus linguistics in fact provide us linguistically, or we can say theoretically. So what evidence in fact corpus linguistics provide us? For example, it helps us to understand real attested use of language. So real attested usage we can find out, or it can be revealed as linguistic evidence more precisely through corpus methods. And contrast with introspective approach, which was very typical previously. Even now it is quite typical in generative grammar, but it is corpus methods or the corpus linguistics help us or provide us more precise trends and the patterns of language use. So instead of believing or instead of depending on introspection only, but the corpus linguistics also helps us to have the exact and the real descriptive nature of language. And it also relates to, we can relate it to the competence performance distinction, which is the traditional, the concept of language use and language usage. So we can find the performance through the corpus analysis of language. And the corpus linguistics is often more interested in trends than rules. So yes, in corpus linguistics, we focus on the patterns, we focus on the trends, and from those patterns and those trends, by following the descriptive approach, we can come up with some new rules also. So instead of following or depending on the existing rules, so we focus here on probabilities rather than certainties. And corpus linguistics or the corpus methods also have provided some evidence to contradict widely held assumptions about language use. From the famous stories of corpus evidence, for example, from the Grammarly blog, I have just I'm quoting this, but definitely there are few corpus studies also which contradict such kind of widely held assumptions, or we call it some kind of linguistic myths. Like the Shakespeare contributed over 1,000 words. So according to this blog, this claim is quite disputed. But the more consented is these are the 229 words which have been under the neologism, the new words coined by Shakespeare. And Milton contributed around 630 words. So there is a widely accepted or widely held assumption that Shakespeare has contributed more in English vocabulary than any other. But we can find a few more studies we study under corpus stylistics. It is not the case. So these are just because of corpus linguistics, which helped us to find out these gaps. Now let's briefly talk about the history of corpus linguistics. As we all know that cataloging and the counting of the words, despite their impracticalities, these all have been very useful, or in terms of the fiction or the religious text, the scriptures, the Bible. So counting is always there, cataloging is always there, but historically in history, so these are usually were done in manually. So it was very laborious task for all those people, but they were so dedicated, but they still committed to such kind of activity. So with the arrival of computers in the 1950s, new uh, things or the practices came into being, and the first reported corpora, according to Charles Smear, 2004 and 2023. This is Brown Corpus, which is the first modern computer readable corpus. And this is of 1 million words of math and English text, which was printed in 1961. And this corpus was sampled from 15 different text categories. And later on, this was used as a model for other corpora. And then low corpus, almost in the contemporary time period, we find it, which was also compiled. It's also 1 million was a British English text. It was also printed in 1961. And sampled from the same 15 text categories as Brown Corpus. But here we see all texts are either of 2,000 words or the smaller than 2,000 words long. So here we will discuss that for this question, what should be the text size or the sample size in our next webinar, that is corpus design. So why 2,000 or the less than 2,000 words? Why not more than 2,000 or the complete text as corpus? Then in 1978, Indian English was the corpus of Indian English was also built to the same specification, and this was named as Brown Corpus. And then there's another corpus, LLC. This was the first corpus of transcribed spoken language, which is very gigantic task and very challenging and difficult task even now. And this was a part of Survey of Spoken English, which was used at the university. And this corpus was of 500,000 words of spoken British English, which was recording from 1953 to 1987. And the categories which were included this corpus was spontaneous conversation, spontaneous commentary, spontaneous and prepared oration for different situations. Then there's another classic corpus, we can call it GloWbe corpus. It's a 1 million word corpus, but too small for many applications. In 1980, Collins, in fact, a collection of 20 million word corpus to support later on support lexicographers, and it was expanded later on to Bank of English, which is 320 million words. So the link is also there, and I'll share a few more links in the last part of the session for the already built corpora. Then BNC, in fact, changed everything, or started in 1995. But the recent version of BNC is quite extensive. But it started with 100 million word collection of written and spoken text from 1975 to 1993. And but carefully designed, very balanced corpus. Usually, the modern corpus designers, they use the design framework and all the markup and annotation framework of usually of BNC for generalized corpora and for specialized corpus. So this corpus is closed corpus, synchronic corpus now, and all text tagged to high quality text are also tagged, and lots of tools available for the exploration, like lot of linguistic tools we can call are there. But there are many more corpora available, and the corpus projects are also underway and sometimes model on BNC or other well-known corpora. So various national international projects are also there underway, and some specialized corpora are built and also underway. For example, historical texts corpora, learner English corpora, international English corpora, translated English, spoken dialogues for certain domains. So when widely used, they become kind of benchmark. For example, Wall Street Journal corpus, Tree Bank is very popular and it's widely used on corpus linguistics, who are really focusing on generating tree banks. But definitely, there can be pros and cons of the nature of the corpus, the design of the corpus, we adopt for our corpus, or the corpus we use. Now, theoretically, talking about Chomsky, who also has criticized corpus linguistics with very positive criticism, definitely. Um, in this field of generative grammars, in fact, Chomsky believed in three kinds of adequacy to understand language. The first one is observational adequacy. The second one is descriptive adequacy, and third one is explanatory. So, according to Chomsky, explanatory adequacy is the highest level of adequacy when we are able to explain language. So, according to generative grammarians, uh, like the corpus linguistics it deals with lower level of adequacy, that is descriptive adequacy. Though it is debatable, but this was, in the previous decades, it was what used to be believed. But we can talk about this. We can debate on this whether corpus linguistics uh, deals or caters explanatory adequacy or not. In my view, definitely it caters explanatory adequacy. It provides language, the trends and the patterns explanation. But in generative grammars, real language use is not considered. These are purely based on introspection. These are purely based on the already built schema of the generative grammarians, and they take examples from their schema and they explain language. So, but the corpus linguistics, it focuses on the real use of language. So here we get the huge data of language based on which definitely we can cater explanatory, or we can handle explanatory adequacy of language used. So to understand more about this concept on this debate, so I would recommend you to read chapter 1 of year 2004 and 2023. So this part 1 was about corpus linguistics in general and some history, historical, corpora built, and some very briefly the theoretical discussion on corpus linguistics. Now I'll focus on practicing corpus linguistics. So what kind of practices we can do in corpus linguistics, or what corpus linguists do, in fact, um, or with the language, or the natural language. So first, definitely some design and the compilation of corpora is can be one of the practices or one of the objectives of corpus linguists. But design and compilation of corpora is not only the objective of this practice is done by corpus linguists, but uh, all the fields related or who are dealing with language, natural language, for example, in artificial intelligence or in natural language processing, and more specifically in computational linguistics, they all deal with corpus or the language, natural language. So their role of corpus linguists is also very important. For example, very simply, Google is there. So Google also need corpus linguists who can help them to tag corpus or annotate corpus or build corpus. So we have a very good example these days of the role of corpus linguists, particularly when we talk about ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is not the the product or the output of efforts of NLP experts or AI experts or the computational experts, but the role of corpus linguistics. Corpus linguist is also there. And then corpus linguistics also involves development of tools. Corpus tools are there for corpus analysis. So I'll share a few tools with you also today. I'll just introduce you, and then in the third webinar we discuss about few tools in a little more detail. And then descriptive linguistics cannot be these days completed without using corpora. It cannot achieve its objectives without using corpora to analyze lexical and the grammatical behavior of language. For example, for lexicography, for physiology, for discourse analysis, and even for semantics. FrameNet is another very useful corpus database to understand the application of semantics based on the corpus methods. And then exploiting corpora in applied linguistics, for example, for language teaching, for translation, uh, and there are many other utilities of corpus linguistics. For example, in health sector, we have in commerce sector, for example, these days in commerce sector, use of like the application of corpus linguistics is very much important. For example, all those SEOs, search engine optimization, these are purely based on the knowledge of corpus linguistics. All the uh, available tools or the forums, such as we have Fiverr, we have Upwork, and several other. These there is role of corpus linguistics uh, based on which these tools have been developed. So now let me share uh, uh, with you what practices or the what practice of the application of corpus linguistics we are doing in Pakistan. So we built Pakistan National Corpus of English, which has not been online due to some financial constraints, but hopefully we are working on it and we will be able to share. And this is 10 million word corpus. It's a genre-based corpus we built, and we have considered academic genres, media genres, legal genres, workplace genres, literary genres, but the media genres and the academic genres are major contributor in this Pakistan National Corpus of English. But if you need corpus to use in your studies, we would definitely share with you the link, and you can use the corpus for your studies. So then we have another corpus we just have completed. This is a Pakistan gender text, and we call it Pak Gentext. And these are, Professor Wasima. She is the, in fact, she's the principal investigator, and Dr. Tessin Zara, she is the co-principal investigator of this corpus. So this Pak Gentext is a gender-based. If you want to conduct some gender-based studies based on language use, corpus used by the Pakistani writers, Pakistanis. So it is mainly, you can see certain written discourses there, spoken discourses there, like the corpora there. Then in written you have academic, literary, and the media, and then in spoken you have academic, media, discourse. And then you can see the genres there. The number of genres are there that you can also use. So here is the corpus about the size of this Pak Gentext. So this Pak Gentext, you can see the size, total size of this corpus, and the size of each genres are also there. But as I just mentioned, this is based on gender based. So here are a few more details of this corpus. So here I just have, let me share with you, I could, here's a link of Pak Gentext, which is yet to be made online, but I can share the interface that we have developed. Okay, Amara, if you could allow me to copy this link. Okay, I'll share this slides to people, and then you can open and you can see that. Okay, and then the Corpus tool that we have developed, we named it MetaPark, and it was developed in 2017. And this MetaPark is used to analyze meta discourse. In fact, it does not do analysis of meta discourse, but it assists in doing meta discourse analysis. Since doing meta discourse analysis is a very time taking task. So with the available tools, uh, uh, more time is consumed. So this MetaPark uh, helps us to uh, use less time to do more tasks. So I can just share uh, this interface of MetaPark with you. So you can see here, this is the MetaPark. So it is based on Highland systems of meta discourse based on the categories that he has uh, defined and explained, conceptualized. So based on his categories, this tool works. So we'll do apply this tool in our third webinar. Okay, so another tool that we have developed, this is Corp Cleaner. Uh, this is for corpus cleaning, and we'll share. We are just working on it. It's installation version. So we'll share with you that how can you install and use this corpus, this tool. Yes, Amara and Fatma, do you have any information to share? I received a message. Okay, just give me 2 minutes break. There's some technological glitch. Let me resolve this. All right, welcome back. Uh, Sorry for the inconvenience. So we also have we're publishing research journals. I also worked as a co-editor of this journal, but these presently Dr. Wasima and Dr. Tessin, they are publishing this journal, Corpora, Journal of Corpus Linguistics. But we also have a few more good research journals on corpus linguistics. As practice, this is Corpora, published from, I think, Lancaster University, and the International Journal of Corpus Linguistics is also there. So now let's briefly talk about the corpus tools, corpus apprentices, I usually call it, so that these are not mixed with the corpus tools or the corpus softwares. Some very prototypical or the basic concepts which are used for to analyze language. And the most used the corpus tools are the apprentices. These are the frequency and concordance, collocations, keyword lists, clusters, and anagrams. So now let's briefly uh, talk about these concepts and these tools which are there in corpus softwares and which are also there in the corpora, the built corpora. So the first, we'll briefly talk about this frequency. Frequency, in fact, is a list of the words, the most occurring words, which displays the words occurring in the corpus along with the number of times each word appears. So frequency may be helpful many times, but it might be deceptive in few cases because ignoring all other contextual variables and the factors and simply believing in or depending on frequency, it might not be helpful. But at times, frequency also helps us to understand the descriptive nature of the text, like the prototypicality of the text. What are some prototypical lexical items which are used in certain corpus, and uh, from that prototypicality, we can make certain claims also. And those claims then can be verified with some other concordance analysis and the collocation analysis. And we can also understand the vocabulary density of the text, that how dense the text, the corpus is from vocabulary perspective, and for lexicography, definitely frequency is very helpful. For example, just look at this table. This is, in fact, based on the results, the word list of a paper that we published in 2022. So this was based on Pakistani newspaper editorials and the editorials written on COVID-19. So these are the three word lists of 3 months, February, March, and April. And these word lists were of, I guess, 2020 or 2021. So in the first word list of February, you can see here, since COVID-19 was not in Pakistan that time, in the month of February that time, so we just see, the more focus, more the discussion on China, because it was initiated or it was, generated from China. So we see the frequency, the most occurring word in the February editorial, this is about China. But in March, if you just look at that, then some kind of discussion started. In February we don't see about, but in March we see more about lockdown also, with 169 the frequency, more about the people, 447 about the virus, about the health, and Pakistan. The word Pakistan also appeared in March. Then in April, we also see the word Pakistan is there, of course, uh, with more norm value, though the frequency is less than March, but we have this table of normalized value also with more normalized value. We noticed use of word Pakistan. So, and there's a shift of, you can see the themes or the topics uh, from February to March to April. And this is another, corpus-based uh, generated visual, where this is also called word cloud, or service. And this word cloud is based on uh, academic research articles published in Pakistani journals, written by Pakistani authors. So these are, in fact, uh, 5 categories of interactional meta discourse of Highland. So the first one you can see, the size of the word determines the how frequent the word is. The more frequent the word is, the size is the large is the size of the word. So if you just look at this of the boosters, so found and shows, this is in line with the convention of research writing. But when we look at this, the word should is also quite frequent word used by the Pakistanis in research articles. But this should is not in line with the convention of academic research writing. Like in international or the conventional research writing, should is not a preferred booster, but in Pakistani research discourse, we find should is also a preferred uh, booster. So based on simply the frequency and this visual, we are making some claims, and the claims are also quite stronger. But we can verify these claims with our rest of the analysis tools. And similarly, if you just look at the second visual of the hedging, could and would, these auxiliaries are the most prototypical hedges used by the Pakistani researchers in their research articles. But if we compare the frequency or the norm values of with the International Convention of Research Writing, so could or would, as meta discourse, as interactional meta discourse, usually it is not, at the first level or not the most frequent. Uh, Usually these are the third or the fourth most frequent hedges which are used in research discourse. And similarly, just at the bottom, you can see the attitude markers, important, which is the most frequent attitude markers used by Pakistani researchers expressing their sentiments. But with the qualitative analysis, what I came across, is some claims which are considered to be important uh, were not in fact very important. So to understand how important this important is also very important. So so you see, the frequency only can help us to make certain claims and to analyze or to come up with more descriptive nature of language with more robust analysis. Then there was another tool, or the corpus apparatus. We call it concordance, and the concordance is a listing of all the occurrences in the corpus of query item, together with some surrounding context in the form of words to the left and the right. So this is very general, simple definition of concordance. We also call it keyword in context. The word in the center, the search word, we call it node word, and it is surrounded by the context. Now, in some tools, we can adjust this context possibly and count how many words do we want on the left of the node word and how many words do we want on the right of the node word. So there are the different functions of concordance also there, like the theme identification of the discourse, the text. You can use for discourse analysis, even for semantic analysis or doing semantics, and for EAP purposes, and even to find out the text schema. The writers, they have produced in their writings, what is in fact their schema, so we can make claims about the schema of the writers based on concordances. And of course, in forensic linguistics, these concordances and all these corpus apparatuses can be used. For example, just look at this short I've taken from Lawrence Anthony's website to explain concordance. So the word process generators, concordances of this word process generated from the American English MU6 corpus with 80 files and 161,469 tokens were there. So we see from, let's say, from the lexicogrammatical corpus, So process of, because this concordance list is based on frequency. So the process of is the most frequent, the cluster to word cluster we can call it, or the grammatical affinity of the word process with the rest of the word we can find out. And similarly, definitely, we can do some theme analysis based on concordance. So from the Pakistani context, we did analysis of some investigation reports. If we could recall, a few years back, there was a very there was an issue raised about the Panama leaks, and from in Pakistan it also reached, and some investigations also made on the accused persons. So what we found in the investigation reports, the accused people, they were, when we found out the concordances of the word prima facie, which was used 14 times. So whenever the investigation or the investigators, they made some judgments, they made some claims. So they used the word prima facie with announcement of the judgment. So which revealed us that the investigators, they are not much confident about to make some kind of not able to make judgment against the accused people. So you see, linguistics, the concordances and the frequency collocation helped us that time when the process was under investigation, the litigation was there, but we were able to make or this claim that the respondents or the accused would not be, be damaged because of this investigation, and which happened in future, in fact. And then the third tool, that is the collocation. Collocation is a succession of two or more words that must be learned as an integral whole, not pieced together from its component parts. So, as Perth says, you shall know a word by the company it keeps. Similarly, collocation is also about the company of the word. Collocations are also very important to make, different kinds of analysis, for example, in semantics. And collocation is very useful. And the concept of this collocation has been used to build some very good tools such as collocate.uk. This tool, this website is used to, teach or even write research writing, to produce research journals, academic journals, help us to, to write sentences with more in line with the research conventions, research writing conventions. These collocations, in fact, are schematized. These are part of our cognitive reservoir. If you just look at this, puzzle or the quiz or figure, so if we match the first column with the second one, so if you just look at this, study revealed a regular, and if we look at this option from A to H, so I don't think so it would be it wouldn't be challenging for us to match this. The study revealed a regular pattern of changes. And similarly, for the second, this is the research focuses on one particular aspect. So particular aspect, regular pattern. So we are able to match because we already have schemas in our mind, in our cognitive reservoir. So based on this cognitive reservoir, in fact, these collocations are produced, and the concept of collocation is in fact based on the same concept of collocation schema. The recent version of ANCONC of Lawrence Anthony, it has provided more statistical tools. From these tools, we can understand with more statistical explanations and the interpretations of collocations with more precision, but definitely slightly tricky because we need to understand some concepts of statistics such as log likelihood or the effect or the MI score. For example, if you just look at this collocate table of the word process, so learning process, so frequency is 1450 times. If you just look at this log likelihood, that is 27.68. So this likelihood is how likely that this word learning occurs with the word process. But if you just look at this effect, this is 3.5. If you just look at the effect of the next word, which is chemical, this is 4.28, and the frequency is 24. Frequency is 570 only, which is less than the word learning, but the effect is more. So now we need to understand the difference between likelihood and effect. Likelihood is how likely that word can occur, but effect, how much effect the word, let's say, chemical has on process, or the word process has effect on chemical. And what is the effect of the word process has on learning, and the word learning has on process. So this effect is more like, I would explain with the analogy to understand this likelihood and effect. So likelihood can be, you can call it closeness, but the effect, you may call it intimacy. The more intimate the word is, no matter whether frequency is less, it would have more effect. The more closest word is, whether the frequency is less or more, so it is the closeness of the word. But definitely, to understand fully, we need to understand these concepts with more statistical applications. Another figure to understand collocation, if you just look at this diagrams, a diagram, for example, first you see inclusive results, or the word collocated with results in research writing. For example, inclusive results, preliminary results, results, or results suggest, results demonstrate, results show, result reveal, etc., and analyze results. So these are the words which are occurring more with the word result. Similarly, the word study in research writing. The word study, the study, the present study or the current study, and then the study aims at, the study focuses on, or the study reveals, the study shows. You see, these are the words which are occurring more with the word study. And then statistical analysis will help us to understand which word is more intimate with the word study and which word is more likely to occur with the word study. Then we have clusters or n-grams. So a cluster is a group of words which follow each other in a text. So these are the different units, or the building block units of discourse or the text. So in which the word occurs in sequences. We also call them lexical bundles. So these are very important to understand certain patterns of language, or the language use, particularly in English for academic purposes, research, and specific purposes. We also call them n-grams. So these are the two word n-grams of word process. The process of is the most frequent two word n-gram, but usually what we take the n-grams of three word n-grams, the four word n-grams. So these n-grams or these clusters, based on their discourse functions, are divided into three broader categories by Biber et al. 2004. For example, the stance bundles are there, which are used to express the stance of the writers, and it has further subcategories and examples. You can see the fact that I want you to, it is important to, so on. And then discourse organizers, the bundles which perform the function of organizing discourse. For example, in this chapter, we, it's the four word bundle, which occurs more prototypically. On the other hand, one of the things, or something like that. Similarly, you have referential bundles also. So what approaches we can use while doing corpus analysis? So we can have one textual approach, the contextual approach, and critical approach. In textual approach, we focus on the text only. Like the previous examples that we have given, these are only purely based on textual approach. Then in contextual approach, we bring the context. For example, if you intend to study disciplinary variation. For example, the use of hedges or the boosters in different disciplines of, let's say, social sciences or the hard sciences. Then within social sciences, you have different disciplines, and the hard sciences, you have different subdisciplines. So here you can study the contextual context of the words, context of the certain lexicogrammatical markers. And even we can, augment it with critical analysis. For example, critical discourse analysis, Paul Baker's works in this regard is phenomenal. And we also did use some work on corpus-based critical discourse analysis, and then academic other literacies. And I also believe that other literary theories from literature perspective and the critical theories can also be used, and the corpus methods can also be employed or can be benefited to make literary interpretation, the critical literary interpretation. For example, if we just analyze the university's homepage, so we can find these days the discourse of university's homepage, though it is generally believed the communicative purpose of university homepage, it comes under academic genre, academic discourse, but at the same time, we also find the features of marketing discourse in universities' websites. From marketing perspective, we also find the discourses. So here we can bring, let's say, the Marxism discourse, or in some other genres, we can bring feminism or post-colonialism. If you just study the word Oriental or Orientalism from the corpus you build, specialized corpus you build, and you just take out the concordances and the collocation, the frequencies. So I believe we may come up with some interesting patterns, and based on those patterns, we can make some interesting claims or the comments. Now let's talk about the last part of our webinar. This is I'm going to introduce you some built corpora and tools. So here are the links of some of the built corpora. MyCase is there, easy to use, user-friendly. WebCorp is based on the website's corpus. And then BNC corpus is there, CQP web is there, a very extensive corpus. And then Sketch Engine is also there. But most of these corpora we have to purchase access to these corpora. So here I would like to share with you just few with you. For example, this one, the first one is, if I just could, this is very useful repository of corpus built by or developed by Davis. So here you can find almost all the build corpora here, and then you have here the guides for each corpora and the video tutorials for each corpora. Some other related sources are also available there, but you have to make account. And most of the corpora, again, you can use really to some extent, but for extensive access, you need to purchase these corpora. For example, you can see this corpus of contemporary American English. Here's one big corpus, and similarly, Wikipedia corpus is there, coronavirus corpus is there, and similarly, you have some other corpora here you can see. So you can just decide about your corpus project, and you can work on any of the corpus. For example, this GloWbe web-based English corpus is also very interesting corpus to explore. So this is a big and huge, I would say, contribution of Davis in corpus linguistics study. So you can, and in webinar 3, we'll explore a few of the corpora from here also. So some corpus tools like this. There's a repository, international repository, where almost all the corpus tools are available with uh, necessary uh, introduction to the tools. And our MetaPark is also available there. So here you see these are around 277 tools till to date are available here. And these are, in fact, all tag tools, 47 concordance tools, 43 annotation tools for visualization, especially for digital humanities. 29 tools are there. And you can see there the number of tools which are available here. And most of the tools which are free, you can download and you can use these tools. MetaPark is also there. If I just could find out MetaPark. So I will find with Control F. This key is presently probably not working here. Oh, yes, here. So here you can see uh, this MetaPark is there. So you can download this MetaPark, but in third webinar, we'll discuss how to download it and how to use MetaPark, this tool assist method discourse analysis, and it is really available tool. So thank you very much. This is all about today's session, understanding corpus linguistics. I have tried my